Alright, looks like we are live. I'm seeing the microphone working. Let's see if we've got anyone in the chat. Hi, it's Ben from Second Dynasty. We make 3D printable spaceships, or in this case, rovers. It is the off season at the moment. We had Midsummer on Friday. Feels like it was a month ago, to be honest. But we're here. Albert and Lisa have gone on holiday, so when I say we, I probably mean John's in the chat, and that's about it. I am holding the fort down, working on some stuff, because on Monday, of course, it is the 1st of July. It is utterly insane that I thought we would have another campaign on Monday. Yeah, that's not happening. So we're going to have a few more months until we do the 5th Frontier War campaign. Production has started on that, although, again, today we're going to focus on what's coming out for tribes this coming month. So, hi in the chat to Solo Spirit and Shergul. I see we have fewer people than normal. I assume that's because some people have started going on holidays. Hey Sam. And yeah, I want to start by explaining a little bit what's coming up on tribes. And this is kind of what we're going to focus on. So, a few months ago, our old friend Mikael reached out, who did an internship with us a couple of years ago, said he wanted to do some additional work, got that figured out, and I said, well, you know, when you made the original Rover in, I think it was 2020, I mean, 3D printing was a little bit different 4 years ago than what it is today, so I said, why don't you start by updating the old Rover you made? So we've made some modifications here, and now it will print support free. And this version, it's got an open roof. Should have got the model out to show you guys what the original one looked like. It is a bit dark and dreary here. We've had 2 very warm days for this country anyway. And yeah, just this revamp, I'm pretty happy with it. I'm sorry about the lighting. This is one of those cases where I've already technically turned up the lighting above where it's supposed to be. And a part of the reason for this is because the materials we're working with are very metal-like. The Maya viewport doesn't like that so much, so it looks better in a render window. Like here is the image we had at the top. You can see what these shaders look like in that render. And yeah, I just wanted to show the base version. So we'll be updating the Rover with these files as a free upgrade. And this month's Tribes features more of a sort of Mad Maxy theme, I guess, with like some sort of post-apocalyptic road war type vehicle variants. So we have, you know, like new engine blocks, we've got, you know, wheels with spikes on them. You know, you got some petrol tanks, top hatches. You can kind of choose what you want to put in the engine block here. Here we've got some sort of like smokestacks. We've got some mufflers. I think the original I envisaged as an electric vehicle. We've got a new turret. And we have one that's like a harpoon gun. We've got this nice little snowplow, I guess. So yeah, sort of like Mad Max is a theme. I did try to reach out to Papsicles to see if he wanted to do a collab or something. I know he's done some sort of miniatures like that. But I thought today we could discuss 1 or 2 little additions. At present, I have like, this is some of the old Rover parts I was looking at before. But in here I have the V2 version of the Rover ready to go. It's already got a build plate. I just need to upload it, render it, make a proper product and that sort of thing. And then we have a bunch, and I mean a bunch of different options that we can use. And yeah, we're kind of in the process of getting those out, or ready for production. I still need to rename a few things. I'm probably going to have to do a little bit of work now on the weekend. If maybe I can get this done afterwards. But we're going to have a customization folder with just a bunch of different models and variants and things that you can actually modify this sort of Dirt Rider version with. Good morning, Brian. Hey, Clive. Hey John, did you dye your hair streak red? No, I have a red light in the background. So yeah, this will be this month's tribe, and hopefully we can still get some kind of collaboration going on. But if not, we have tons of miniatures that will seat in them, and you will be able to customize these builds. You can kind of see like a few different bull bar variants and that sort of thing. They now connect with a combination of John's clips. You can kind of see them there. Open lock clips, and then things like this sort of like side mounted minigun sort of situation uses the kind of clips that we have used on Operation Maelstrom. So, quite an expansive release this month. I just don't know how people are going to feel about it. I know that when we polled about post-apocalyptic vehicles, it wasn't really high up on the list. But I think Mikhail's done a great job. Albin, of course, helped guide him through the process, brought him up to date on, the way that we model these days. And then I have gone in and done some modifications, like here having sort of like the glass areas and that sort of thing. I could still imagine doing a bunch of different modifications, and I've been on this a day or two. Probably haven't focused as much on delivery for Soul Survivor as much as I should have. But, hey Tamsin. But yeah, that's sort of the gist of it. So I thought today we could actually get the community to make some suggestions about what kind of additional modifications they might like to see on these things, and we'll create one or two of them that can be done in the time frame. And then I wanted to look to next month as well. So in about 4 weeks, I'm going on holidays. It feels insanely close at this point in time. I don't know what I'm going to get done in that time, so I'm going on holidays, which means Albin's coming back and taking over. But I will be working on a number of different things, including the 5th Frontier War campaign vehicles. Albin will take over after that. We also need to have Tribes for August ready to go. And then I think John is coming to visit, which will be great. Hey, Shadow Liger as well. Nice. Some good turnout. So let's see. These are fun, says Shadow Liger. I feel like someone is going to add missile launchers to them. I didn't think about that. I'm just trying to think about what you might logically have access to in the wasteland. I think if we did a missile launcher, it'd be more like someone has a bazooka. Really long poles to hang figures on. Yeah, I've been thinking about that, looking at Mad Max and that. So, or like the idea of doing a bull bar with you can stick a miniature on the front would be cool. So yeah, I'd like some suggestions in the chat. Oh, okay, John. Thank you, mate. I appreciate you dropping by. So yeah, I want a list of some suggestions, and then this is just a brief hiatus because, of course, next month when I am on holidays, next month, it isn't even July yet, August, will be the release of Alien Romulus, and I am very excited about that film. I think it'll do well. I hope it does well anyway, and I hope it lives up to my expectations, but I do feel confident that the Fede Alvarez, the director, is going to make something that's a lot better than what we've seen recently. Not much of a prequel fan myself. So it seems fitting that we kind of go back to the Soul Survivor sort of theme. So we do have some additional unreleased miniatures that we did in case we hit a higher stretch goal for that, and we were kind of considering for a little while doing a Frontier rather than just a Pledge Manager. Those plans have changed, and now instead we are doing we saved those for the August release. And the ship that will be coming with that, and we will be going back to ships, is something like this. So this is only a sketch at this point in time, but sort of like that, despite the fact that I don't really approve of the design. A lot of people suggested something like this, like a flying barge sort of situation. I don't know if I'll do it as big as this. This is extremely large for a Tribes release. what I'm thinking of doing is maybe like a smaller version to start with, that only takes like 3 cargo containers instead. So it would be, 4 inches shorter and 2 inches thinner, I guess. Because right at the moment this is like 8 inches wide by, I guess, 14 inches, which is, like I said, a bit too large. Let's see. A net projector. Nets are hard to model. Let's see. Amplified bass. I mean, having some subwoofers probably wouldn't be a bad idea, but I don't think like having, Duffman or whatever he's called, I think that is a bit too much. Springy suspension. I really suck at vehicles. So the suspension on these vehicles is a little bit tricky. We do have, I don't think I've actually linked these yet, so let me just create a parentage tree just so I can demonstrate how this works. So it's a little hard to see, and I think I need to move this pivot point to match there and up to there. Not feeling it a great deal today, to be honest, but we've live streamed once a week every week for 26 weeks now in 2024, and I'm hoping to get the whole 52. So yeah, someone's going to do it. But you can kind of, if I turn on the wireframes here, you can see that there are teeth in here, so you can sort of like pull this out and you can kind of set the height differently. So it's got kind of like a different sort of suspension theme. Let's see, maybe this needs more of a centered pivot there. Let's pop that there. And then pull that back to here. And then basically you would straighten that out again. So you can kind of get some height on these vehicles. But I assume that the suspension is handled in this system somehow. Oops, we don't need to change that. We need to change it back. Let's change that from 25 degrees. Change that from 25 degrees. So there we go. So I just want to create an understanding of how that works, and it's similar with the single wheel versions. So the big suspension thing is maybe too much of a big job because you would have to completely change the way that the wheels work. Okay, yeah, the netting, netcast, etc. goes well with the spear gun. I don't disagree with that. I think it's a cool idea. It's just not something we can make in a quick amount of time, and we're kind of like reaching the end of, okay, what is one last thing we can include with this? Okay, that's what I'm thinking of. So at the end of the day, we add a lot of modularity to the vehicle. Like we have these little crates with fuel tanks in them, for example. I kind of like the idea of poles or other things like that. Let's see, derivative content says the cargo barge looks like a boss fight area just waiting to happen. That's a good point. Flying and you could create some dangers. I do like the idea of that. The barge needs a crane or some method to finally manipulate the cargo into place. I agree with that, and that would take place in this sort of little area behind it. So I'm thinking this sort of 4 squares there, you'll have a little cabin in there. You have the pilot area. Not quite sure exactly where I'm going to have the airlock. I'm thinking actually a ladder and hatch at some point. And what I'm thinking is the crane goes here and points backwards. Because this thing is going to drag like all hell, but it makes sense if the crane sort of like points backwards because you're creating the least amount of strain on the crane mechanism, right? So that would be my plan with that. And right now this is very, very basic. So I'm not going to... It will be a very simple design. And I'm thinking maybe the base... I think what I'll do is I'll make a version for tribes. And then I'll maybe go back to it and make a version that can be... turned into its own standalone thing. Or maybe I'll make it modular so that you can expand it. I don't know yet. Shadow Lego will. Let's see. That thing could make a cool standard boat too. Oh, like just as an actual barge. Yeah, I guess so. Let's see. Actual suggestions: hover wheels or tracks. Oh, you mean for the? Are we back to the vehicles? Because this is actually what we're talking about today, to be technical. Hover wheels or tracks. The tracks thing could make some sense because I feel like let's save this up. I don't think I've actually done anything in the scene. I'm feeling a little under the weather today, to be honest, so I don't know. We'll see how we go. Let's see, we don't want to be in the tribes folder. Also, my hard drive is, I don't know what's going on with it. Dropbox just isn't syncing like it used to. And let's see, I think maybe I'm just going to quit Dropbox and see if that improves the speed of the hard drive. Because look at this thing, taking forever to open up. So, I'm going to have to close that file. Dropbox has been mucking up at home and here, so I'm not really happy with it at the moment. Let's see, we want to go back to Starship 6 and we'll go to File, Open Scene, and we'll look for the project file that Albin has used for the vehicles. So let's see, miniatures lineup. I would have thought it was higher up. Let's see, workshop. Power loader, garage vehicles, let's see, that's the 30th of April. It's a bit too early. So, Albin does have a tendency to, I think, iterate too much. Let's see, garage vehicles, I went past it. There we go. So let's open that up and see what happens. It did seem to create a bit of a response there. I'm just going to run Dropbox in the background, so maybe a reset will help. And I believe we have a couple of different layers here, but the main thing is, like, here we actually have a track model, and it's only a half track model. Albin didn't get the full way through with making these pieces, but technically we could probably just drop, let's just duplicate that geometry, move it over, and then I'm just going to add standard surface 1, copy that, and we can paste it in here, because I am really kind of feeling like these back sections, at least, maybe we can do something with those tracks. Like, you could take that armored thing there and just, like, maybe knock out one tread here, and that might fit. It couldn't be. Oh my god, that almost completely aligns. So that could be one potential option. I'm not gonna shit on that idea. That's a pretty good idea. So I'm gonna just move that over, and we've got like a housing here that we can maybe grab. You can kind of see all the different models and things that Mikael has prepared. So there are like some options. Instead of the tray, you can have back passenger seats, for example. There's a couple of. There wasn't any initial geometry on the underside. So I kind of added in, let's see, maybe it's easy to turn off the lighting here if you wanted to see the detail. So I added just a little bit of detail on the underside that I took from some other models. Just gives it a little bit more life. Mikela had put these sort of channels in on the hood so that you could add those smokestacks if you wanted, or the sort of like air filters. Mind you, I know some people are going to know cars a lot better than I do. Honestly, I just lease my car and pay for full service because I don't know shit about cars. I know plenty about computers, but cars, nope. So, you know, I get the gist of how it works, but I'm not a mechanic by any means, and I'm not really that interested in cars. Let's see, I have the original Rover suspension, and those little teeth are less grippy, stable than I like. They are better now. And a part of the reason is because the pegs are actually, they don't have many tolerances, so that is quite a tight fit. And at the moment, actually I can show you guys, because I have printed 2 test prints. Oh, not really scented. That red lighting is not doing me any favors. It looks so sallow. Maybe we should put on this yellow light. Yeah, that's a little bit fancier. Alrighty, So let me switch to the close-up camera once again, and we can see now this had one slight imperfection, but this is the Rover version I got off the Bamboo, and then I have the Rover version that I got off the Prusa Mark IV, which is going to need a tune-up. I'm glad John's gone, because when he's coming here I'm totally making him do all this stuff. This doesn't look great. Honestly, my Prusa Mark IV, ever since it got the upgrade for the oh god, what's it called? I always forget this. For the input shaper. Ever since it got that upgrade, it's been way worse than it used to be. It used to produce the best models we've ever made. Now there's been a few flaws, so you can kind of see I didn't even install some of the parts. You can kind of see along here, that part there, how chewed up it looks. So there's a lot of tuning that needs doing, and at the moment I haven't bothered looking into it, A, because I've got holidays coming up, B, most of my prototyping I just do on the Bamboo. And I mean, despite not wanting to support Chinese companies, I think I'm going to have to get a Bamboo next time as well. So they're just that much better. So you can see some of the cool details. I think it pops quite nicely, even if this is the lesser one. But when it comes to the wheels themselves, like, these are quite stiff. Like, the wheels are hard to turn, but like that's like going to support the weight, no worries, it's not going anywhere. And same on the back, you can see now it actually seems more levery. Notice that? So it does support the weight when on the table. I know I can't really direct the camera downwards, but like I could. This one's pretty flat at the moment, for example. Let's set this up. Obviously this is a bit off camera, so maybe I should try and just adjust. So there you go, that's kind of like with the wheels down, and if I put that on the table, it's staying still. You just have to take my word for it, I guess. Or what I could do is stick it on my phone like so. Ooh, that's a very slip and slide. But you can kind of see there, it's supporting its own weight. You know what, I've got a phone protector, maybe this rough side is a better idea. So you can see it does hold its own weight, pretty good. Looks kind of cool, to be honest. So I'm very happy with that. And now we have some new cool parts to play with as well. So let's get back to, now I can look in the chat, because I miss you guys. Let's see, some more suggestions I see here. So let's see. Sam had said hover wheels or tracks. Showgirl said I have the original Rover suspension, and we just had that discussion based on that. So Wesley Conklin says various stowage mounts for the trucks would be cool and might be easy to make, things like spare tires, gas canister mounts, etc. Yes, they could be quite easy to do, and we do have some like fuel canisters and that sort of thing already that we could repurpose. Clive says, is it supposed to be aerodynamic for shoveling Clive, have you seen Alien Covenant? I wouldn't recommend it. It's very ineffective physics-wise. If it had traveler technology, it might not be that weird. Again, you were talking about the barge. I don't have the files open anymore, but it's not going to make a whole heap of sense, to be honest. But people did say in our survey results that they wanted something like that, so I'm just giving the people what they want. Wow, I actually sound like Ridley Scott, and he completely missed the point on that one. Let's see what else we got. Derivative content says, any possibility of a towing kit for the Rovers? You never know when you might need to tow a flatbed, container stage, or discontent. Okay. There is not a tow bar, but there are these sort of like, we did build something in here to potentially support a trailer in the future. It's not really, I guess you would put like, attach a tow bar to this connection. I'm not sure. But we do have some other potential ideas that we could put in. These slots down the bottom that we've used for mufflers could be used to add something in there as well. Let's see. Half-track buggy and mono-track cycle. I like a mono-track cycle. I like those suggestions. It's just like, again, we'll have about half an hour to work. That is, if I feel well enough. Printing imperfections are just unplanned wasteland damage. Yeah, I guess so. Solo Spirit says, I like the track look, but my first thought seeing that actual was a tri-wheel cluster referencing the Landmaster from the Damnation Alley movie. Haven't seen it. Wrecks, obstacles, barriers, palisade gate, towers, and walls. I mean, these are not vehicle modifications, Brian. Like, not bad ideas. I do recommend you check out our Operation Maelstrom base. Had some stuff like that. The wrecks, as usual, I'm more of the impression that the better solution is to 3D print and then destruct from there most of the time. Let's see. Clive says that was my point. Not quite sure what it's referencing to, but yeah. There you go. And then Tamson said maybe discontent was meant to be discotheque. That would make more sense. Maybe? Suggested mod oversized engine block. I mean, I did start modding the engine. This isn't actually a proper thing yet. I kind of just like made this bulge and a fan belt and filled in the holes a little bit for a bit of variety. That one I will export and it should print fairly much as it is. So yeah, I don't know. What I'm more thinking of is if the theme for the month is post-apocalyptic, what could we add to these that would make it feel a little bit more Mad Max? So let's narrow things down to that. Modifications of the vehicles itself that make it look more Mad Max. Checking it out. Unique post-apocalyptic vehicle. I mean, if we had more time, you know, we could do some mud guards or something. We could, I mean, you could put more tanks and supplies and things on it. It could be weapon systems. We could do that missile launcher. Articulatable doors earlier. Not happening in this time frame. And it would require modifying the chassis a fair bit. So gonna say no to that for now. I mean, do we have anything in the scene that's pretty quick? I'm trying to think mechanically. Well, we have this hatch that's functional. Although apparently the hinge is in a very weird position. Let's see, let's move this. So it just uses this kind of connection. Could we add doors? Thinking about it, we might be able to do it quite quick using this hinge. Just trying to think if the chassis here, it prints out flat down like that. Yeah, I added a few little things like the grip, which yeah, it comes out nicely. Real nice, actually. I think it's a bit too fine detail to try and show off. But I think maybe the door could work if we like put a joint there. Let's get cheeky with this. Let's take this real quick. I know I'm appealing to everyone, but usually what someone said in the chat today on Discord, like, oh, I have some suggestions for where you can take things. Really not that into suggestions, to be honest, or open to them. So, like, I mean, I guess when I ask for you guys' ideas, I'm asking for something to inspire me to actually, you know, put in the work, more than it being a collaborative thing. I guess. So let's move this back over to here and just align it. Align this thing so that we're snapping it here somewhere, and just look. I'm just looking to see what the scale looks like. So we want to create something. Let's see, that's 85%. Let's make that 90, and we'll move that 90 as well. So it would have to be attached here, and actually that's. So it would probably create. I just realized we don't have mirrors on this thing either. I mean, post-apocalyptic mirrors probably not a thing, but you know, we could potentially put this in. Maybe this is a doable thing. I'm just gonna manually move this to about that height, and I think we'll take this as far as looking to see how it actually looks and functions. Because what I don't want to do is like redo all of this geometry, so if we did something, it would be done in such a way as to fit to what we already have. And I think maybe we could get extra cheeky with this and have the joint there, but also maybe have a mirror on the side. I'm not sure, just to make it a little bit more interesting. So let's grab one of these hatches and maneuver that into place as well, just to see what we've got to work with. Because I think this actually did just become something that we can do really quite effectively. Let's see. I've been ignoring the chat for too long. Let's see. Worth checking out, unique... Oh, sorry. I take it you mean that vehicle that was in the movie I hadn't seen. I did say... Oh, right, yes. Maybe one that can slide into the slot, then instead of a hinge. Doors turn off by a spear thing. I do like it when people suggest, like, scenarios. I think I have a tendency to forget that ultimately these are kind of created for a game. Let's see, I'll turn off the lighting here so we can see a bit better. I think we'll turn on our wireframe as well. And what we probably want to do is match this to about there. And that gets us in the territory of being lined up. And then we'll close this into the 90-degree position. We're basically looking to see where we need to be. And then my suggestion would be to have a shape that sort of follows this. So if I independently grab these, what I would want to do is, I think we'll create some geometry from scratch. We're going to use our snap point. We're doing this now. This is what we're going to test out. It might work out, it might not. We'll see. But I'm going to create some geometry here. Whoa, where did that go? That just disappeared. Didn't press enter. I've got a bit of a dry throat here, so I hope I don't start coughing or something, but there is a risk. So I'm basically just looking to create, or recreate rather, the areas where the door is going to overlap. And we'll create some additional tolerances. Let's see, so I think we can just go like maybe up here. Isn't it nice and peaceful without Albin making a jive every now and then? Let's see. Derivative content says, I agree with you, that would have been a better choice. Malcontent. Okay, that was the word choice from before. Right, gotcha. Sorry. I get confused at the best of times. So it has been a big week, and maybe the reason why I feel like it's gone so quick is there was Midsummer last weekend, then on Tuesday the wife and I celebrated 20 years together. It just feels like it's a bit different with, I mean, town feels different because half of the Swedes that live here have all gone on their, annual leave. So I think we want to be like in line with this. We might want to create a slight bit of a difference there. So I reckon we go along and then we go up a little bit and something like that. So I'm just going to create a little bit of fake geometry. Maybe I'll try and snap this to the grid a little, something like that. And then we'll go up to there. We want this to go match on this side. We want this to go match on that side. And then I think we can start thinking about some extrusions. Yeah. Okay, so basically now I'm going to try and get the... That's like the interior shape of the door. And now we're going to try the exterior shape of the door. And then right at the end, that's when we would shorten some of the areas to sort of make it fit. I'm just going to create some geometry there. Create some geometry here. Why is it so black? Oh, because we've actually created an object and we need to flip the normals. Usually if you see in black, it's because the normals need a flipping. See, let's match over there. You can see the chat scrolling a little bit, so I should probably check in. See here, we've got this not quite matching up, so I think what we'll do is actually start to make some of those adjustments I was talking about already. I'm just going to get here in the corners, and we can do the other ones independently, but what I'm going to do is just lift up, rather than having it there, I'm going to move the pivot point, lift to there. That gets this flat against the surface. It's a weirdly shaped door, if we're being honest. But maybe not the worst thing in the world. Something like that. I mean, it's still like a future sort of design. I don't know, I think that makes it slightly more interesting than the way we had it before. Let's fill in these gaps a little. Really just looking for the rough shape at this point in time. And I think, honestly, we could move this down to there. Where did I turn my pivots off? There you go. Move that up to there. Just to sort of make sure that this is all sort of like conforming together in the right planes. And like I said, we're going to need some adjustment. And all I'm really trying to do is to get some geometry in place here. So I'm going to go up here to match to here. Make sure that actually is flat, which it looks to be. And we won't worry about connections or anything until we've actually got something to connect to. But it would give us an impression of like where we want pivots to be. And I don't mean pivot points, I mean the actual pivot of the door. So I think we will just go across here. Let's see, what have I missed? Oh wait, congrats. Well, thank you. Yeah, 20 years is a long time, funnily enough. Achievement unlocked. But she seemed pretty happy with the gifts and the night we made of it. We can't get away because of our little doggy. He's a very sensitive boy that can't be left by himself. But she made a wonderful meal for us, and I bought some really expensive wine, flowers, and of course a bit of bling to remember the event by. I mean, she said no gifts, but come on, 20 years of putting up with me. I mean, that's all the gift I needed. go. Not to mention the embarrassment of saying that your husband makes toy spaceships, I guess, really. She tends to say he works with computers. Oh, I laugh every time thinking about that. Okay, I was just going to see how much of this geometry was already joined. Even in the short amount of time that Mikula's been back, he's shown some real improvement. I think he's going to be on until halfway through my holidays or something like that. So, I don't know, I kind of hope to see if we could put some of his own designs up on my manufacturing one day. I think he's going to help me with some Zidani weapons and with we were looking at doing a truck, and he is modeling a truck up, so we'll see, like a Mack truck that we were thinking post-apocalyptic as well. I don't know how it slots into things or what we'll do with it. Let's see, can I delete that? And what if I repurpose this handle? So let's take all this. One of the beautiful things about having such a dynamic and large back catalogue. Why is that so uneven? Oh, it's just the angle. Alright. So this becomes our door handle, and you want that on the sort of further out, right? Let's move the pivot point here to snap this to the face. And then we finally get to sort of test the theory. Shergall's theory. Sorry, I said it like Nurgle. Shergall? I don't know. But to test the theory, what we need to do is basically parent this door to this hinge, and technically we should now be able to swing this open. So I don't know, it's not that bad. I don't think. What do people think? I think we need to make this shape work properly. We're going to need to move this back a little bit. I'm not in a rush today. I don't have anywhere I need to be, but yeah, it is good to sort of see what this looks like. I think we need a bit more geometry going on here. We need to see how we've got a gap here but not on the other side. So we need to sort of grab this and let's, how do we get that angle? I mean, how did we get it the first time? That's the question. So I think we need to, I hate it when there's too much geometry, it's really hard to see. So I'm just going to move this pivot point to here and then hope that this is enough of a gap. So with a little bit of a gap, you need that when you're sort of doing model toy type designs. We already have the gap on the underside there. What we do need to do is bring, I was going to say this part there, but that makes it a bit difficult to see. I'm really annoyed by the lighting, so I'm just going to disable that. And then, yeah, we'll grab this geometry here, and I'd say we'll grab all of that actually, and we'll just move it a tiny little bit to the right. So let's grab that pivot point. We should be able to match that maybe, create a bit of a gap. This will guarantee that we've got some tolerances here. So yeah, I think all that remains is we go up with these, let's see, let's go up there, there, and there. And we'll do a similar thing where we just take this distance. So yeah, now it's sort of there, and if we grab the whole door, whole door, and I think we might, let's see, should it be flush with this section or this section? I'm gonna say like, let's extrude it a little and see how it looks. So I'm gonna extrude this to there. Then we'll extrude this by just doing a, let's see, a 0.2 by a 0.2 maybe. Let's see, does that look about the same? It does, but what is this nonsense? Okay, let's forget about that. Looks like we've got some geometry we need to bind here. Then we can grab all of this. And I'm wondering if maybe we should come down there to just create a little bit of an angle. So let's go 0.2 again. No, that's still happening, so let's just manually fix this in place. It looks like what we really need to do is move this down to there. And we need to move this over to here. Something like that's going to look a bit better. Sometimes you just want to create a little bit of tolerance there to provide yourself with some breathing room. And having the doors be thick is probably a good idea too. I mean, it might help with all the firearms you're copping, right? There we go. This is kind of turning into a cool mod. So we would need to make a few more adjustments to make sure this isn't too loose. I'm not entirely sure yet what these all are. What I'd need to see is that, okay, well this side needs to be perfectly flush. So that is one of the issues, like how this will actually print. Because ideally it should print like so, or flat would be the optimal version. So what we might have to do is sacrifice this little rim. And sometimes, rather than destroying geometry to leave options in the future, what you can actually do is just leave that geometry in place. And I think because of the nature of what we've made, we can just push it back here. Actually, that looks like it's not entirely flat as it is, so maybe that was a good thing. And you can kind of see like the geometry is preserved there. If I want to go out by that thickness, I could easily do so again. But I think here our goal is to get this thing flush. So I'm going to go and move that. Oops. Sorry, I need to select this geometry first. Let's move this to there. This thing needs to be closed in. So I would say what we're going to do is let's delete this edge loop. Let's fill in these gaps. And then we're just going to move them closer so that we lose this. Now, back in the day, we didn't like intersecting objects and booleans. Now we can do a lot in our slicer to sort of like fix smaller issues of where things go together. So let's move this in to match here. Oh, okay, we need to move the pivot point a little first. Like so. And then I think what we do is abandon this shape, moving that back to there, move that back to there. And that'll create, like, this will be the flat side. Because that'll guarantee that we have a decent looking door. The nicer finish will be on the top. And again, you can just... Oh, we need to move the pivot point again. That's what we need to do. So let's move that to there. That'll open up like so. Then we need to move the actual pattern here. It doesn't look right with the... Yeah, that's not centered. So let's move that to snap here and there. Make sure that it is following that. So I don't love the fact that it's sticking out as much as it is, but that's the compromise that you kind of have to make. And I think honestly, like if we keep, like if I just take this and we kind of extrude it out like so, let's do a double. Maybe that's a bit too angled. Maybe maybe it's tolerable though. Let's see. So if we just flatten this out, widen that, and I'm kind of like manually moving this, and I'm just going to twist this a little bit because this will become our mirror. Is the idea. So you'll be sitting there, you've got your mirror there. It should print out okay as is. So we're kind of like doubling this geometry up. This wants to come back to this line here. Let's see. It's good this idea is working out. Would hate to see anyone unhinged. Yeah. Wesley says, gotta head to work. Good luck, folks. Thanks, Wes. If I may call you that. Thanks for joining us today and for speaking up in the chat. Much appreciated. So yeah, we just need to make sure that this is all in a good spot. And it looks like, let's see, could I be so lucky? No. Where is this edge actually? There. Okay, so I think what we actually want to do is grab it. I think we're actually going to align to our grid. So let me see. Oh, this is one modification I was making, was more like a grease lightning style sort of Sharpie edges. Let's see. Technically, I'm hoping... Okay, that's not aligned fully. What we're going to do is make a line across there. So what I need to do is grab this and this. Let's look at it from the side. And I'm hoping if we isolate that, we can grab the shape we want to add a cut to. We still want our snapping on. And let's go down here. So... there we go. Delete that. And then we can start closing off this geometry. And where we integrate it here is not going to matter too much as long as we don't have intersection with those actual the connectors. And I think even that tiny little bit there won't affect things too much. I think it might actually create a little bit of grip, so we might leave it. The question is maybe if we need to add a bit more shape to this, bring it down more. So let's just isolate this and close it off so that it kind of becomes its own finished geometry. We don't want this odd shape, so let's go down here. Bring these down. There we go. So that looks like it's probably flat again. Merge the vertices. So basically I'm just trying to create an object that you could, in theory, have on a different model and maintain its functionality. And like I said, this is like kind of like the way we've changed our work to in recent years, just to be able to reuse parts a lot quicker and easier. When you boolean them in, if you want a piece of geometry that you've already made, it's much more of an effort to sort of grab it. And so we don't need that line at all. Let's close these loops. I'm just going to do some fills in a second, but I think we want to get rid of that basic shape there, or maybe have it sort of like inverted a little. So I'm going to see what I can do with my, I was hoping that might go into the negatives. It doesn't. I think what I'm going to do is just delete all of that. And I don't know, maybe I'll just do a basic extrusion here. And really I'm just looking for the form of what I'm going to use for the mirror. So maybe we go back here just a tad. And we'll get that to link up to there. We're not really worried about perfect geometry at this point in time. We're going to do some fill operations. Wow, I closed the window before and it was a mistake. It's sweltering in here now. It just has that tension in the air like it wants to storm. Hopefully not, because my greyhound really doesn't like storms. It just gets the shakes for hours and hours. Oh, thank God, I heard a rumbling and it was just a bus. So let's close this off, and I'll probably need to test this. So we've got about 4 or 5 minutes left. Let's just see how we can get this object into... Oh, I changed the pivot point instead of the history. There we go. So you've got your sort of shape here, and what I mean to do is if we just take this and extrude it up, here's our very basic mirror. This will probably knock into the mirror. Yeah, you can only get the door open so far. So maybe we need to go up a little bit higher with that. But really I'm just kind of testing some theories here at the moment. So and honestly that mirror doesn't look right, does it? I think it needs to be up higher. So what we'll do then is actually let's separate this mirror. Let's see there. Bring this back in. Whoops. Sometimes you've got to change your tools around. So I'm just going to do a basic cut operation, which should free this geometry and make it separate. And then, actually, you know what? I think we reconstructed this geometry. And the angle I was thinking of for printing this is actually going to work in our favor. So let's close this off. Like so. I'm thinking maybe I ditch the mirror idea for now. Mostly because I don't hate the idea of having a mirror. It's just, if it's not integrated the way it was. Let's see, if we move this down to like... See, this would make a little bit more sense. A, because it's like in the right spot there. And B, because now the door can actually open. The downside, however, will be that we'd need some kind of wedge geometry to have that in place. So I'm just going to separate this from that object for the time being. And I just want to, I think, test print these. So I want to make sure that this has got the same pivot point. Let's see, center the pivot, move it back there, delete the history, and technically I think if we just make sure that's filled in, that and that, delete the histories, freeze the transformations. Oh boy, let's freeze that transformation first. Freeze that transformation. Alright, so select those two and we should be able to export. And then dirt, rider, door, left. And I'm mostly just trying, let's see, I want to select that, mesh, combine, delete the history and export to, I guess this is the, go into the Rover there. And we go to middle, and then we go up a level, and put doors on that. We should be able to test this in Prusa Slicer. So let's see, we're in the right folder. It's these two and we're just going to look and see if we can test print these all right. This is what I was talking about, where we're actually getting an error thrown up. It's probably under my head at the moment, but you can see down the bottom too, it says auto repaired 8 errors. Now this will print just fine. Well, not in this position. But if we want to make that change permanent, what we need to do is, well, you can either click on the triangle in the list, which is underneath my video, or you can right click and go to Fix by Windows Repair Algorithm. It does a little trick. It'll take longer time on this one. Just by virtue of the fact that the object is more complex with 32,000 faces, whereas I think the door probably has, 2,000. That's still a lot more than I was expecting. Now let's orient the parts so that they will print as intended. So that needs to go over to there. And I think we probably also want to rotate this one at least to there. So I'm just going to rearrange this print bed. We do have some objects we don't need, but we're just going to be looking to see what these turn out as. So slice. This will run a slice operation. You can see this door is nice and flat. The handle will come out. I'm not seeing any issues on the underside here. We're preserving that little nub there. The main thing I would be looking for on this side is how thick are these extrusions? Will it hold? Do I need to thicken this up a little? And I might want to go just a little bit more, because if we go down layer height wise, you can see here with the edge loops here that these are actually turned into one single loop at a certain point. Ideally we'd want to get this to a point where it looks more like this. So it looks like we need to come out about 0.4 of a millimeter. So all I'm going to do to fix this or address the issue is I'm going to grab this geometry and we're going to extrude by 0.4. Simple enough, right? And that little sort of fixed mesh thing addresses so many different issues. So I might go 0.4, and I might give it a bit more shape and go 0.4 again. Now this might create some issues like this. But it kind of like is just slightly more interesting than if you've got like this flat surface. So let's just go merge that, and we'll do the same on the other side. All one single face here, so we shouldn't see any issues, I don't imagine. And I was correct in this matter. And let's just try it. Export again. Export selection, and we want to go to body middle doors. The nice thing working this way is if I go back to my mesh view, select the object, I can just right click and go reload from disk. And whilst you'll see the warning come up again with the open edges down the bottom, which we were expecting, we need to fix that. The one thing that didn't change is all of our rotation modifications that we had. So now it looks good. Let's go slice now. And here, let's look at how thick these walls are again. We just don't want them to snap off. And here you can see we've got those 2 loops, which is excellent. I'll be happy with that. I think it'll work out well. We do need to test print it. And it wouldn't take that long. This would be an hour and a half on the Prusa Mark IV. I think it'd probably be closer to 45 minutes on the Bamboo. And then the last thing, if you want to get these parts actually, fully printable, ready to go, you would go to export as stl/object, save, and that will overwrite the original with those fixes in place. So, excuse me. Let's go save, yes. And we are done. So technically, I'd have to test print it, but I think those doors will work. With a few small modifications, I think we could put the mirrors on as well, and that would actually make it look really cool, to be honest. Let's turn off the wireframe. Let's turn the lighting back on. Oh, I guess we need to actually add the lighting back in. Could be good. And that would give us a Rover with doors. Now the only other thing is that these doors would probably have some issues staying in place. I think one option would be if you just made this back section have a little bit of a tag, like just something like, something like that, which might help it fit into place, but I'd want to test print it first. So let's see. Shergol says, looks pretty cool. Thanks for sharing the creative process. You are welcome. It does look quite different with the door. Why don't we make this green as well, just so that it kind of fits the theme. And I think we want to go to olive metal there. Or is that too dark? No, that's about right. So yeah, we could have doors after all. And yeah, there is a bit of a mechanism there. It's not really hidden. But the fact that it's already boxy and a little sci-fi... and a little, you know, poorly designed, if we're being honest, like this modification. I don't think it is outside the realm of like the theme, and I think once we got that mirror on, we could move the mirror forward just a tad, maybe center the pivot there, to more something like this, and just slightly higher as well. It's going to make a lot more sense. And if we got really cheeky and brought it all the way back to say here, whilst going up there, whoops, sorry, my bug, need to change the angle before it will fit. So if we moved it there and added just a little line here to have a section of flat, like so. Oh, we do need to extrude down there, like on here, and go to there. Whoops. That kind of looks more interesting, I feel. And then if we just put like, say a 0.2 extrusion, and then one on the top here. Oops. Went up instead of to the side. Oh, I'm getting all the wrong places. 0.0, 0.2. There you go. So that looks more deliberate, I feel. And the beauty is, it should print. Shall we test the theory? Let's go mesh. Actually, we'll do a couple of things. I'm going to duplicate this, but I'm just going to select what we wanted to keep. Delete that, and we'll flip that over. So -1. Freeze the transformations. We need to put the pivot point in the middle of this. Do the same thing, duplicate, oops, it went in the wrong direction. Duplicate, -1, whoops. Why is that not working? Is this... -1 should have worked. But it's flipping upside down, I don't know why that's doing that. It doesn't seem right. But if we now combine all of these objects again, is my point. Delete the history, freeze translations, mesh, combine, history, export selected, and we will select the middle doors thing again. Reload this from disk. Should see the new geometry coming in. Let's do the fix. You could replace the mirror with a gun mount. I guess you could. Oh, the one thing I didn't check is to see if the gun will intersect with that. I think it might. See, we have a side-mounted gun there, and it looks like, yeah, it would become a problem with that. So you can have the side-mounted ones. I did do a variant though that mounts it on the bonnet. I know someone complained and said that that will create an issue with where the ammo goes. That's some American shit, man. I don't know anything about guns. So slice now. And what I want to look for this time is to see that these little mirrors are actually, yeah, that's nicely integrated. That is nicely integrated. I think that's a winning solution. So you would have to sacrifice the side guns, but hey, if you've got a turret, turning this thing into a technical, who cares, right? Alrighty, that seems like a good place. You can see that the Rover here is ready to go. One thing I didn't mention is I did do a render of assembly, so you can kind of get a vague idea about how all the parts go together. It's really not that complicated. It looks like a lot of parts when it's like this. As long as you got good adhesion, this comes out first go. The only issue I had on the bamboo was a tiny bit of curling with one of these corners. I think it's just because I didn't clean my plate properly. Otherwise, support free. Yet another design, support free from us. I do put in a basic, if I slice here you'll see, I did put in a organic support just on this. Again, we designed support free. It will support print support free. I don't have it on this one. Oh right, yeah. I need. Sorry, this is an old. Jesus, how did that work out? What the hell? Oh, yeah. Sorry, this is an old build plate of the Mark IV version. You can kind of see it up here, up the top actually. I'm not sure if it's visible to you guys, but if I pull this down, it says Rover V2 build plate Prusa i3 Mark IV. So this was for the input shaper version of Prusa Slicer, and I did have a fail at first, and the reason why was this back object, which is flipped upside down. So it is correct in the actual, let's see, in the actual Rover build plate correction. You can kind of see here, let me see if I can get this any bigger. You can see here that it is in the correct orientation now, so it's flat on the build plate. So yeah, we have added doors. Great suggestion. Nice to see that it worked out. I mean, I do have to test print it, but I think that actually is going to work quite nicely and provides a nice little variant that we can add to the collection. So I did create some more work for myself because there's going to be even more stuff I have to put together. But hey, it's worth it. And so are you guys. Alright, yes, that was you, Shergol. All credit to you. You managed to have the idea that I was most drawn to. Alrighty, well, next week I should be back at a pretty regular time, a Friday, and enjoying yet another week all to myself. It is almost a holiday, but I do hope to get a little bit more work done. So I hope everyone has a good week, and I will see you then. Bye, guys.